Fear not, citizens. Hope has arrived because, yeah, we're back with My Hero Academia chapters 340 and 341. We took a little break last week, but don't worry, we're getting caught up on this incredible ending to the series. We are covering chapter 340, which is titled The Story of How We All Became Heroes Part 3, and 341, The Story of How We All Became Heroes Part -1. Interesting titles, I will say. But Isaac, how have you been, man? It's been a couple weeks since we recorded.
Yeah, me and Leo did a quote something to fill the void with two heroes, and that was always fun. And it's but yeah, it's have also longed for some more My Hero Academia chapter discussion.
Oh yeah, for sure. Leo, you guys did that filler episode last week, which was a nice surprise. Like I left in the comments, Melissa Shield is indeed best girl. How have you been since
Oh
we
my
last did My
goodness.
Hero Academia?
Look at you, bruh. Look at you. It was good. I liked covering Two Heroes again. I remember just watching it that morning right before me and Isaac talked, and yeah, it was fun. Look, we decided we just couldn't do a chapter without you, man. So I'm glad we did a bonus episode. That was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, definitely. I love when we get to do extra content. Like doing the weekly reviews is fun, but like being able to have discussions about the movies and interviewing actors from the movies, that's always the good stuff, right?
Yeah, I still
Oh,
can't believe that we managed to get Ryan on our interview, but I digress.
yeah, crazier things have happened. But
Yeah,
today we're covering chapter 340 and 341. Did you guys expect them to keep running with the story of how we became heroes theme for all of these chapters? I didn't think we'd get a part 3, let alone -1 chapter, which was kind of strange. But I did enjoy last week's chapter. We're going to start there. All Might is breaking down the plan to combat All for One in Tomura Shigaraki. And in doing so, they enlist the help of Ragdoll. She had the search quirk that All for One stole back in season 3, I believe. And that's pretty much how they're going to try and, track them down and figure out how to stop them. Because we learned that Search, I'm assuming it's Search, is the reason we have to keep them 10 kilometers away, right? If you can keep a 6-mile distance between All for One and Tomura Shigaraki, Search probably has reached its limit, and that's All Might's plan of breaking them up. So, Leo, I'll start with you. What were your thoughts on like just this chapter as a whole, and like the idea of even attempting to split up Shigaraki and All for One, which seems pretty impossible to start with?
Just want to say Horikoshi has a way with the art. Definitely don't mind him bringing Ragdoll back. But, I think this plan sounds a little too simple.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel as though it can go awry very, very easily. So okay, when was All Might the one that was like the strategist?
Never.
Let's be real. Like, why is
never.
All Might at the front of the class strategizing? Like, he should not be the one. So honestly, I'm gonna be real here. It just kind of sounds like a crash and burn type plan. I don't think it's gonna end up working.
Yeah, I agree because you're right. All Might is not the strategist in this group. I feel like that would go to Principal Nezu, to Deku,
Yeah.
even to Aizawa,
Anybody but All Might. I mean, All Might
Hawks,
to
Endeavor.
me is like the hero advisor. He's like the one that knows how to really bring the best and the most heart out of these heroes. He's not the guy that's supposed to be leading the strategy. He never has been. All Might is the guy that literally shows up, blows a hole in the villain, and dips out. Like, I don't think he's the guy that's coming up with the overall battle strategy, especially when back in his day, he didn't even need one.
Especially when the plan is just separate the two. It's like I like how one of the guys is like, why didn't they just double team Star and Stripe? And he's like, I don't know, maybe because All for One, Star would have known his name, so New Order would have worked. It's like, is his name really All for One?
That
Are we
really
really
pissed me
rolling with
off.
that?
I think I told Isaac this last week. I was like, oh, okay. So she said All For One and change the rules, we would still be sitting here looking and reading Star Stripe being in the chapters.
It's so freaking stupid. And it's like All Might not being the brightest guy when it comes to this type of stuff. I can excuse that maybe that's an assumption and that's not true. If it is, I'm pissed off. But it's like, even if that's the case and it's not true, why is All Might the one coming up with this battle plan? And why did we waste an entire chapter of this bogus plan that's going to fail? And we know Aizawa's plan is probably going to be the one that works. I don't know. Like, Isaac, what were your thoughts on this one, dude? It was just weird to me.
Honestly, if I'm totally with you guys, when he was at his prime, he was just, I'm here, punish the dudes, and I'm out. Had Horikoshi been sort of like small hints here and there about he's studying now because of his being Small Might instead. Just give those nuggets, so to speak. Seeing him with let us say, a map, a book, and heck, maybe playing, doing some fake strategy game, sort of like that. Maybe you can just see him play this universe version of Age of Empires. I don't know. Then him coming up with a battle strategy would have been much more believable, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
But, we haven't. Horikoshi haven't given us that, so.
Yeah, it's just really strange to me. Everything that happened in that chapter. Like, I like Ragdoll coming back. That's cool. I like the idea of like her quirk is instrumental in defeating this guy because she knows how it works. That's cool. That's a cool idea. A lot of the other stuff was a little nonsensical, and we got some more stuff with Aizawa and Aoyama. That stuff was really good. I really liked him still taking that role of his teacher and trying to comfort him, but also realizing, hey, we need you to step up and become basically our trump card, right? That's interesting to me. I don't know how Shinso comes into play in this plan at all.
Everybody got to be involved. Like, we need all hands on deck, man. And I'm glad they showed the big three as well.
Yeah.
We got that glimpse. I think it wasn't this last chapter, but the chapter before. There are other places helping in the other citizens, but we're going to need them too, man. And okay, how do we still see the big three without Mirio? I really got to know what Mirio Togata is up to right now. We need a Shinso panel for him, okay?
So here's the thing. I feel like if Horikoshi's going to keep holding Mirio back, when Mirio shows back up, it's going to be a big deal. That's my feeling. Because, you could, like, we saw Amajiki and we saw Nejire and we've seen Shinso, but it's like, we didn't do that with Mirio. We haven't done that with Eri either. And it's like, when they come back, it's going to be a very important moment in the story. And so it's exciting and also scary because I don't want anybody to die.
Yeah, imagine if they both show up and they're just kind of like this super duo of like reversing time and like acrobatics. Man, that might be pretty tight.
Definitely would be tight. Did you guys want to just move on to the next chapter? I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but we are messing with two stories here, which are very distinct, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's kind of like you get the hero side, villain side, like both of the stories. And I just gotta say about this chapter, I like that Aizawa was talking with Aoyama and assuring him that he's still gonna be on the class. It doesn't matter, but he's not gonna be able to just skip out on what he did.
Exactly. Consequences for his actions, which is really good. Guys, if you're listening or watching on YouTube, we just had to bring out the My Villain Academia branding back because we got a Toga chapter and a Dabi chapter. Thank God. We have been waiting for over a year to get a proper like villain chapter with Toga and Dabi. So I'm really glad we got 341, the story of how we became heroes, part -1, which is kind of a funny title. Okay, so this one was crazy. Toga revisits her childhood home, and it's just got graffiti and hate speech everywhere, talking about how she's a killer, a vampire, yada yada yada. And we get a little bit more backstory of like she had dreams of this red bird, right? She sucked the blood out, and it made its way to her stomach, which is interesting because on the hero side, we have a bird with red wings. I don't know if this is foreshadow or not between a confrontation between those two. But yeah, I thought this was a really interesting chapter in the sense that like we got to see it's pretty much just Toga and Dabi for the entirety of the chapter. Then we kind of get the end with a little thing with Spinner and Heteromorphs. Isaac, I'm going to toss this one to you. What were your thoughts on this chapter and like what they're trying to set up with these villains going forward?
Well, it just I would argue that it just confirm what we always said. Dabi is a lost cause. He just likes to burn everyone and everything, and if there is any villain that might convert to hero side, as in I wouldn't say exactly convert, but help out villains, then it's Toga and Spinner, because well, she is kind of, would I call questioning what she is doing, but she's clearly looking back at her past before she became what she is today. And Spinner, in the chapter later on, he's essentially questioning what's going on, if this really is Shigaraki anymore. Is he just getting used and all that jazz? Just think specific of this line here, as if I'm a big messiah. Yeah, right. I'm not out here serving some great cause. I'm only here for ... It's just that panel in particular that makes me feel like, are he going to have the mutants join his cause, but he's not having them joining All for One? They are helping out the heroes because he sees that All for One is using them instead of him following Shigaraki as previously thought about.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, because we've talked about that before. We talked about this during the anime season on how like they cut Spinner's story out of the anime. And I said during those reviews that that's going to come back to bite the animation team in the butt, because like they set up that basically the hate crimes that these heteromorphs have been going through. And we saw that a little bit with like Pony versus Shoji in the Class A versus Class B arc, of how she was like talking about how she doesn't like Shoji because he has 8 arms, and Shoji's like, I'm used to being made fun of. People are always afraid of me. In My Villain Academia, we kind of developed that. We basically have like the quirk equivalent of the KKK, and our villains slaughter them at the beginning of that story. And the anime didn't show it. They're bringing that theme back because that is Spinner's arc, right? Of he is looked down on, and he's viewed as a monster, right? Looking like a Ninja Turtle we joke about, but they're really afraid of him out there. So yeah, him becoming like this symbol is really an interesting angle, and it can go either way, right? Because he's loyal to Tomura Shigaraki. And as we've pointed out like 10 chapters ago, Tomura Shigaraki wants to be saved by Izuku Midoriya deep down. So if you get Shigaraki, do you also get Spinner? Do you also get Toga? And we know that Toga's arc is wrapped up in Ochako's arc, right? Of saving people. It's also now tangled with Twice and Hawks' arc, which I think is really interesting. Like I posted on Twitter, Sad Woman's Parade is going to be an incredible chapter when that happens in like 6 or 7 weeks. And so I'm really interested to see like where they kind of go with that. And yeah, Dabi's Dabi. He's basically been the same character since the beginning of the series. So I expect nothing more from that character. But Leah, what did you think of 341?
Really liked it because of the kind of point of view it gives us of the villains. How
Yes.
it really does establish that they really don't see themselves as villains. At least Shigaraki and his followers don't really seem to view themselves in a necessarily negative light, especially because it almost makes me think like, wow, I almost want to explore Shigaraki a little bit more, because the fact that he would even call himself a hero, it really makes me wonder, like, do him and All For One actually have the same goal?
Yeah, that's the thing. They don't, and that's a theme that has been building. That's why we think that he's going to end up turning on All For One.
Yeah, I think he could kill him.
At
Final
any
battle.
once he fully heals back up, I wouldn't be surprised if he just decays him instantly, honestly, at this point, because their goals are different. All For One wants to be the king, right? He wants to rule. Shigaraki just wants to destroy and be free.
So with All For One always being 20 steps ahead, do you think he's going to go out knowing this was going to happen? I almost feel like he's like, this is the official passing of the torches, just like in Star Wars.
Mhm.
The apprentice kills the master.
Rule of 2, right?
Yep. Rule of 2, baby.
Yeah. So that makes sense. That is, of all the Star Wars references we can try and pull from it, like, well, I wonder if it's going to do this or that, if it's going to be Luke and Vader. It's like, no, it could just be, Rule of 2. That's logical. The problem is, can you redeem Shigaraki if he's the big bad, or is it save Shigaraki from the big bad? You can go either way, and I think it'll be fine. But yeah, like you said, these villains aren't necessarily out being villains, except for Dabi. Like Toga is going out and getting blood because that's what her quirk desires and needs. I feel like she's not purposely just going to go, I want to kill people, so I'm going to just go kill a bunch of people. That's not how her character is being presented.
Mm-mm.
So
I think this boils down to, I'm sorry to cut you off, I think it might boil down to saving Tenko Shimura from Tomura Shigaraki.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly what it's going to boil down to, honestly. I totally agree there. And it's just going to be interesting, like, who's going to die before we get to that point. Because, like Dabi says, we're not gonna let that sad parade stop marching. And it's like I don't know if you guys realize, like, Himiko Toda is now the most powerful character in this series besides All For One. Because she can copy the quirks that she steals with the blood. She has Twice's blood, who can make infinite doubles. And if those doubles are using her quirk, are the doubles now copying the powers as well? So can she make an army of Dabi, and now you have like 100 fire quirks out there on the battlefield? It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they're going to do with that, because it seems almost like she's going to be some heavy artillery here in this next battle. And I almost think that if she were to go out, it would be kind of like some kind of scene between her and Twice that was really meaningful, would play out.
Yeah, it's interesting because, again, like, we always assumed it was going to be her and Ochako that were like the end game when it came to that story arc. It's definitely like Hawks is going to be involved now because of Twice, and he's the one who killed Twice, and she will not forget it. And so it's like, that's going to be interesting to see what, like, this was Twice's entire mission, right? Of he took out, Hawks. This was Hawks' entire mission to take out Twice because he knew he was too powerful. And if he lived, they had no chance at winning. That power survived. So now what happens? Like, once the heroes even think they have a possibility, where did I go? There you go. Once the heroes even think they had a possibility, I don't know, man. It's like every time they get an upper hand, something comes at them. And as the story keeps going, I'm not sure what to expect anymore because we keep getting a new wrinkle where you think you know what's happening, and it's like, nope, they have to deal with this problem now.
Here I am on mute. Yeah, it's just kind of like I think me and Isaac brought this up. I'm almost a little concerned a bit sometimes with the angles they want to go, but it almost looks like this one kind of shapes up where we're headed for in the end here. You're going to have Dabi versus, of course, Endeavor and Shoto. I'm wondering, though, if that also in this case is going to include Twice. I mean, and also we just said her name.
Who, Toga?
Yeah, Toga.
Mm-hmm.
So Toga, Twice, and Dabi, are they gonna all be going up against Endeavor and Shoto? Like, are we gonna like throw a massive army at these guys? Because if that's the case, yeah, I think Endeavor's on the way out.
I feel like that's where you throw in Bakugo, right? Like, Bakugo doesn't have a villain. Like, everybody kind of matches up. Like you would think Uraraka, Toga, Shoto, Dabi, Deku, Shigaraki, and then Bakugo he doesn't have a villain. So I feel like let Bakugo kill, quote unquote, kill an army of Twice clones, right? That might be his thing. Like, that would fit his character of being like, I'm the best, nobody can beat me. Let him go out there and just be a tank and take them all out with Kirishima. That would be a cool way to like kind of resolve that a little bit. I don't know though. Like, they already had an army with the Paranormal Liberation Front. And now you add a one-woman army with Himiko Toga. It's crazy. And then at the end of this chapter, I don't know why the sludge villain is back. I don't even know what we're going to do with that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we're headed for a great shinobi war here. Like, we're just on the brink of a war here, and it's just the matchups we get are what we're gonna get. But we definitely know we're gonna get Dabi, Endeavor, and Shoto. We're definitely gonna get Shigaraki and Deku. We're probably gonna get Toga and Uraraka. And that's where you go. And I guess Spinner is going to be by Shigaraki's. I mean, it could be Bakugo versus Spinner. Spinner would get destroyed, but
2 seconds.
I mean, like, if you really want to go matchups, maybe he has some kind of hidden quirk we haven't known yet. Like, maybe his quirk evolution, quote unquote, is something abysmally powerful that we have just not. Like, everybody just kind of be like, oh, it's Spinner, whatever, and then all of a sudden, like, no, Spinner could like morph into a dragon or something. Like, who knows?
Cell activation, 1.5 shell. Oh yeah, I joke. But Isaac, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I was pretty much just said my piece about the whole chapter because, like I said, the whole how they frame the Spinner and Toga, especially Spinner with that panel, is what I wouldn't say not surprised me, but impacted the chapter the most in my regard.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because we like Leo said earlier, we had the heroes in part 3 strategizing, and then in -1 we have the villains strategizing. And it's also really interesting that Dabi and Toga are making their own plans separate from All for One. So I wonder how that's gonna work too.
I wonder if the next 2 chapters is going to be villain focus, considering this is called -1. We have 3-parter of the whole planning with the heroes. Then next week is -2. Then the week after that, or next chapter is -2. The chapter after that is -3, and then the whole shenanigans starts.
I'm cool with that. I definitely want to see more of the villains, especially like if this is the last year of My Hero Academia, we need to finish wrapping up these villain stories. So yeah, like Leo was saying earlier, Shigaraki needed a little bit more development, and like where is he now after all of this? We need to get a little more development. I just want to ask you guys, do you think every single chapter until the end of the series is going to be a variation of the story of how we all became heroes? Because it's been a month now.
I think they're going to do 3 chapter for the heroes, 3 chapter for the villains. I think that's why he said -1.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Interesting stuff. Leo, you got anything else you want to add before we wrap up this discussion?
Let's get to the battles, folks. We done had too much meandering around talking about war plans, man. It's time to get to it.
Let's go. All gas, no brakes.
Period.
All right. Guys, My Hero Academia is on break next week. Don't worry. We got plenty of content for you guys this week and the next to keep you guys busy. Isaac, what is happening here at the Amateur Otaku in the meantime?
Well, we are finally, hopefully, have a date for the commentary track of Ninja Resurrection, which will be a lot of fun. If we know you two want to join in on that one, be my guest, and we can laugh at Brandon losing his marbles again, which is always a delight. And we are covering Attack on Titan also. We had the last 2 episodes, and that also is a lot of fun. And we are continuing My Hero Vigilantes, and there's a lot more coming up.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of stuff with Attack on Titan. It's going to be a blast. Leah, what's happening over at GG?
So coming up on GG, guys, thanks for having me on again, y'all. It's always a pleasure talking My Hero Academia, the latest chapters. Coming up here on GG, there's a lot coming up, guys. So we've got a little bit of Sundance here, covering several films I've already seen After Yang and Resurrection, so I'm getting those reviews up. And I also have a first time watching Big Hero 6 video coming up as well. And I will be doing the YouTube 1K challenge this week. You guys are going to see some content that may be a little bit outside of the box from what we usually do over at Geekly Goods, but come on by. It's Geekly Goods on YouTube, and let's talk all things geek, movies, TV, and more.
Epic. Can't believe it took you this long to watch Big Hero 6, but I'm so glad you finally got to
it.
Oh
my God, I love that movie.
It's so good. It's so good. Guys, for me, you can go to Novice Cinephile on social media and on YouTube. Last week, I did a video on Naruto. You guys might be interested on that one. It's about Naruto and Sasuke and ending the cycle of hatred. If you're into musicals, I did do a video on We Don't Talk About Bruno and why it's a Disney masterpiece of a song from Encanto, so you can check that out. Also, Fooly Cooly Progressive reactions are going to be up weekly. That was a heck of a restart, a reintroduction to Fooly Cooly, so stay tuned for those as well. We'll be back with more My Hero Academia. See you guys next time. Go beyond. Plus Ultra.
Plus Ultra.